Okay,
Idalie,
so we are, yes.
Idalie, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you for a second because we've got a very special guest with us. It's Radek.
Radek! Hi, Radek! Is he on the screen now? I can't see.
Yes, he is. So you can wait.
Okay, so this is for Radek.
To jest dla ciebie, Radku. Serducho.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Radek się zawstydził.
She's embarrassed. He's embarrassed.
Oh, can you send him a hug for me?
Idalie przesyła serduszka i uściski. Ja też.
Pomachaj.
He's waving.
Aww.
Zawstydził się, ojej.
O. To teraz słuchaj uważnie, chłopaku.
Słuchamy. Wyłączamy się tutaj.
Bardzo. Uściski. This is something actually very important, this subject for Radek.
Okay, excellent. Well, I hope that we can make him a user. But in the meantime, I sent him a very big hug. And I'm so glad that Aga and Radek can join. Okay, so now we're recording, and I just want to say good morning and hello to everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Just make sure that you check that your microphones are muted just in case something is going on in the background, like your dog starts to bark, because they do that sometimes. And please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, which Kasia will be keeping her eyes on. Unfortunately, when I'm in presenter mode, I cannot see the chat, but Kasia will happily help out with that. And so in today's presentation, we are going to focus on the Windows access tools in Communicator 5, as well as some practical ones. And we're going to look at the keyboard and mouse emulation options there, and some great features that help give independence to our literate and text users, since it's ALS Awareness Month, or maybe you call it M&D. So the tools within Communicator 5, and there are many, are what makes it such a powerful AAC solution for those who want to communicate with speed, efficiency, ease, and as much reduced effort as possible. And these tools enable the user to do that and to do more. So we are going to get into the presentation now. Just a quick introduction on what is Tobii Dynavox in case you're unfamiliar. Super short, I promise. It's the company started in 2001 out of kind of like a garage with three Swedish entrepreneurs, or three guys out of the garage. And their vision was to do something with eye tracking, and they weren't sure at that point. Fast forward to today, and Tobii Dynavox is the leader in eye tracking communication devices and AAC software, including software that you know, like Boardmaker and Snapcore First, if you've joined one of our other webinars on Snap. So Tobii Dynavox is the AAC and assistive technology business of Tobii Group. There are three. The other two businesses are Tobii Pro, which does consumer marketing and research. So they look at human behavior in the context of shopping and also in research with universities. And Tobii Tech, our third business unit, focuses on gaming and consumer products like gaming and laptops. So the three business units are based in Sweden, and Tobii Dynavox is also based in the US, and there are about 420 employees worldwide with representation in about 65 countries. And we have 120 or so partners working with us in local markets. Like you have the wonderful opportunity or honor of working with Kasia from Atabi in Poland, and I do too. So a little bit then about me, in case you haven't joined us before and this is your first time. My name is Idalie Fernandez, and apparently there's another person in Poland with my name, and I would like to meet her just for fun. I'm from New York. I'm based in Stockholm now. I've been living here for 8 years. I'm a mom. I have 2 little boys who are super energetic and really like playing with my Tobii devices. My background is in media and advertising, and I joined Tobii in April of 2019, so just a little over a year ago now. And I'm the account manager for Eastern and Central Europe and the Baltics. I'm new to AAC and AT, and I have a lot to learn. So, thank you for being part of that journey with me. And everyone, I think, knows our wonderful Kasia, our friend. So a big thank you to my co-host, Kasia from Atabi, for putting together this great initiative for our literate users or our text-based users. And I think if you don't know her well, or if you don't know much about her, she's an extremely experienced SLP, and she's been working with Tobii Dynavox for several years, many more than me. She's also very experienced with Communicator 5, and she is a really great resource. I mean, she even answers questions for me, so she's got a lot of knowledge to share. And I would like to say that I hope that we can have the opportunity to do trainings in person next time, and hopefully sooner rather than later, but in the meantime, here we are. So now I would like to get to know you a little bit better. And if you could just join me online at menti.com, and then you can tell me a little bit more about you and who you are. So I'm gonna share how to access it on the next screen if this is the first time that you've seen it. So if you go to menti.com and you type in that code that you see on the screen in green, you can do it from your phone or from your web browser, and then there you can tell me a little bit about you. So I'll leave this screen up just for a minute and then or two, and this way you can, you don't have to rush to do it, and then we can take a look at who everyone is joining us today.
I will also write that code in a chat because last time I haven't done that, and napisałam również Państwu kod do Menti w czacie. Jak wejdziecie Państwo na stronę www.menti.com i wpiszecie 87 07 15, to możecie Państwo, do czego serdecznie zapraszamy, napisać nam, skąd Państwo jesteście. A nie możecie, przepraszam. Kim Państwo jesteście? Czy jesteście rodzicem, użytkownikiem, członkiem rodziny, terapeutą zajęciowym, psychologiem, logopedą. www.menti.com i kod 870715. Możecie to Państwo uzupełniać w zasadzie cały czas trwania webinarium. O, już do nas przychodzi.
So exciting. Sorry. I was just saying, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Your turn.
I get excited as the information starts to come in to see who's joining. That's all. It wasn't anything important. It's just my small excitement.
I absolutely agree with you. To jest dla nas jakby bardzo ważne, że Państwo dajecie nam taką informację, bo też troszeczkę możemy inaczej podejść do do odpowiadania na pytania i do całej prezentacji. Ja też się staram zwracać uwagę na inne rzeczy wtedy. Także zachęcamy do tego, żeby wejść na menti.com, wpisać 870715 i zaznaczyć, kim Państwo jesteście.
Oh no, oops. Sorry. Okay, so we have a lot of people in education with us today. Another related profession, a psychologist, and 3 speech and language pathologists. Very cool. I know we've got a parent out there.
Mamy dzisiaj i logopedów, i bardzo dużo nauczycieli. Ja trzymam mocno za Państwa kciuki. Wiem, że to ciężki tydzień, pewnego rodzaju powrotu do pracy. Tym bardziej dziękujemy, że jesteście Państwo z nami.
What's so interesting for me on this is that I have, I believe I have around 20 countries. Just last week I had 14 countries, so that's why I'm unsure of how many I have now because I just inherited a few more. But it's very interesting to see who uses, in what countries, which tools are used and how they're used and in what settings they're used, who is implementing them. So it's just very interesting to get an understanding of that.
Idalie ma pod swoją opieką około 20 krajów. Jeszcze w zeszłym tygodniu miała 14, ale teraz ma już więcej. Tym bardziej jest dla niej ciekawe, w jaki sposób i w jaki sposób w danym kraju pewne relacje się układają i kto na przykład wchodzi w technologię wspomagającą i alternatywną w danym kraju. To jest, wbrew pozorom, są różnice. Okay.
Okay, so I am going to minimize that and then we can go back into the presentation, but thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, okay.
Just one comment here. We've got a visual therapist also here.
Okay, great.
And I think this is super great because we can also mention that you can edit all those things that you are going to show and make it more visual friendly for specific needs.
Absolutely. Okay. Oh, sorry, were you going to say something more?
Mamy na sali też przynajmniej jednego terapeutę wzroku, co jest bardzo ważne dla Państwa. Proszę pamiętać, że to wszystko, co będzie pokazywane, może być edytowane. W związku z tym można dać na przykład niebieskie tło, żółte litery albo inne kontrastowe elementy, albo powiększone. Być może to dzisiaj nie padnie, ale to jest ważne, żeby to wiedzieć, że to nie jest jakby zamknięte, można to edytować. Thank you, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Okay, so when Tobii Dynavox launched Communicator 5 quite a few years ago now, Communicator focused on a very wide range of communication levels. So from emerging, which is basic activities and visual scenes, navigation, free communication page sets like Sonoprimo, and also symbol-based communication like Sonoflex and Lexis and literacy, and also the text-based communication level. And today there are other products that focus on these levels as well, and you know some of them. I mentioned some of them already, but we'll take just a quick look. We've got BoardMaker and Snapscene for emerging communicators, and BoardMaker and SnapCore First for symbol communicators. And in the text and literate space, we have Communicator 5, which is our focus today, and also a really great communication tool. So what is it that users need from their text-based AAC system? They need efficient communication. They want to be able to say it quicker. They want lots of tools that support communication in a fast and efficient way. They want that it should be more than a voice output. It should do more. It should allow them to do more, to play music and games, take and view pictures, edit and saved text files, social media, distance communication, particularly in this new way of being that we find ourselves in today, and so much more. They want independence, and they should be able to take control, and they should feel that from their AAC system. All of the key settings are in the user's hands, and using things like environmental control to control their TV, their radio, the lights in their room, what have you, gives them the ability to feel like they can take control. A communication device should also reflect the person and their personality. You should be able to make it your own, and create things that you say using your own voice for messages with that emotion and that expression that is unique to you, you know, that thing that makes you you. It's also a solution for the journey. So we support progression. There's support for varying access needs, but also for changing access needs. It could be the amount of language or communication support that you require from your software, but also it includes, you know, touch access options like key guards to switches and eye tracking, so that you can, it's there for you along the journey if your needs are changing or whatever your needs are. Yep, supporting progression. It also should be easy to use and easy to set up. And one of the key things that is that you can use it independently. So everything is accessible to the user so that there's less reliance on others, such as a therapist having to come by regularly to adapt the dwell time or to change the keyboard or put in a different input method. The user is able, at least with Communicator 5, the user is able to make changes and edits when he or she needs to, so that they're in control. And we'll get into the you're in charge settings. So a little bit of this, if you were with us last week, is a bit repetitive, but I think that this is something that's really important to share, because there are studies that have been done that show that people don't know what their options are in their communication software, and they don't take advantage of all of the great features and functionality that are available because they don't know. So it's important that we share that with caretakers, educators, family members, anyone involved, in order to provide the user with the best possible environment for success. So bear with me if this is repetitive. Hopefully it will reinforce some information. And if you're new to this, let's take a little drive. So, you know, from the home page, the user has access to all the settings. You can also access Windows access settings in the advanced settings button, and keyboard setting selection, keyboard selections or keyboard setting selections that you make are universal. So if you make them once, they remain across all of the Communicator 5 keyboards as you access different tools, like let's say the calendar or email or text message. So let's get into the settings so that you can see how this enables the user to feel like they're in charge. There are the settings. And now we'll go in a little bit deeper, and in the settings menu, you can go into gaze interaction settings and change how the dwell time responds. So you can also make switch access method, or if you want to have a different input method during the day, like eye gaze, and then change it over to switch at night. Users can do that themselves and feel like they're in control. You can also change the keyboard and how it responds to them or the layout. Was there a question?
Do tego momentu są jakieś pytania? No, there are some troubles with sound and vision, but I guess it depends on internet connection, because okay. I can hear and see everything. To niestety zależy od połączenia internetowego. Wiem, że u Idali teraz jest wszystko w porządku, także proszę dać nam znać, czy nadal jest w porządku. Sesja też jest nagrywana cały czas, więc wstawię link do tej sesji na wydarzeniu. Okay.
And this will also be recorded, as I mentioned, or it is being recorded. So if there's something that you missed, I'm sorry about that, but at least you'll have access to the recording later so that you can always either just go directly to that section or watch the entire thing if it's more helpful to you. So we'll make sure to get that out to everyone. Okay, so let's look at those keyboard options that enable a user to feel like they're in charge. So here you have access to settings from directly within the keyboard. So there. And then some of the choices that you have when you get into the keyboard settings are here for you. And they include how the keyboard responds or how the message window works. If you set up banked messages, this is where you can record your own voice in your MyTD or Tobii Dynavox account. And you can turn that functionality on in Communicator 5 so that those messages are available as text that you can speak through the message window. So here's where you would turn it on or off. And you can also try different dwell times to match your access need. So whether it's eye gaze performance on a particular day or choosing, what it is that works best for you. And the other tool that we'll go through today briefly is speech history recording, which is where you can call up frequently used speech quickly again and again, and it can be turned on or off depending on the type of privacy that you want. So we'll talk more about that just shortly. But the key thing is that you're in control. Okay, so you can also edit your homepage, and this is quite important because you can very easily add anything to your homepage. You can change the coloring of things, you can change the order of things depending on what is easiest or you want more accessible to you. And the user, again, feels like he or she is in charge. So they can choose the tools that they would like added for easy access. So there's where we would edit the homepage. And then we get into this screen, and here you would click on Add Page Sets, and then you can add page sets to the home page that you would like. So an example of that is we see the options available on the Settings tab within the text page sets, and we'll select input method to add to the home page so that it's easily accessible. And we click Add to Home Page. And now we're in the Tools tab, and we also want to add Firefox, which we'll come back to a little bit later, but we want to have it on our home page for easy access. So we're going to add that as well. There's Firefox, add to home page, and there it is. So now Firefox appears on the home page, and again, independence is really important, and recognizing that our users have a lot going on in their lives as well as those in their households. They have to learn the skills that are needed to support them, and it needs to be easy to do. So IT skills are not essential. You don't need to be an expert in order to make this work for you in a very good way. And users don't want to have to over-rely on people in their households or on therapists to make changes for them regularly. They want to be able to do that on their own, and they want to be able to do more. So when you're looking at, your students or your patients or your customers, consider how much, or ask them even to consider how much they can do independently in their software if they're not using Communicator 5. And I think that you'll see this is a very powerful tool that enables them to have a lot of independence and do things on their own. So we'll take a look a little more deeply at what some of those other tools are. So we're back at the home page, and now we also see that the input method is added there. And if you're a therapy professional, we ask that you talk to your customers about the type of AAC software that they're using and what they can achieve using it, because I think that's one of the key strengths of Communicator 5. Sorry if that's a little bit repetitive. So we'll just move ahead. So now we're going to take a look at dwell times. Communicator 5 includes a range of innovative tools to enable the most efficient communication, both in terms of speed, but also in terms of reduced effort. And we're going to spend a little time on keyboard related tools that enable users to be able to say it quicker. So let's learn how, and now we'll also look at how access considerations can improve speed and efficiency. So let's get into the dwell times. So you can choose different dwell times for buttons, for keyboards, and for prediction. So first we're going to look at how you do that with buttons. And let's say I have a dwell time of 2 seconds because I need to think about what I want to do on the home page. So I can look around and there's really no pressure of accidentally selecting something. So I look around slowly and no, I don't want text message. Do I want to speak? And I feel like I can do that without accidentally choosing something. So it's a very stress-free environment. And now we're in the keyboard and we're going to see how we can set the dwell time for the keyboard. So I'm on my keyboard, and previously when I was on my home page, I had a 2-second dwell time, but now I want to write the word how. So H, O, W, so I've typed 3 letters, and I know my way around the keyboard, but it took me 2 seconds to write 3 letters, so that's 6 seconds for an entire word, and it's only a 3-letter word, so that's quite a long time if I want to compose something longer. So we have tools to help with that. So we're going to go to settings at the bottom of the page here in the keyboard, and we're going to check out how we can change that and adapt it to my particular needs. So the user has control and can adjust the keyboard dwell time. So they can increase it, they can decrease the speed of the dwell time on the keyboard only. So we're just going to adjust the dwell time to 0.7 of a second so that I can type much quicker. And now, so when you're looking at the message window, the first row directly beneath it is phrase prediction, and the row directly beneath that is word prediction. And just in case I hadn't pointed that out before. So now we're going to try to type how again, and I can do that much faster. And now that we can see the adjustment in speed. So I'm also looking for the phrase in the word prediction, how much does it cost? But I'm not maybe the fastest reader. So how much does it cost? And it's in the center, and I accidentally selected the wrong phrase. Well, it's because it takes me a little bit of time to read all of that to get to the correct selection. So now we're going to go to settings to change that. So we'll go to settings, and I want to change the dwell time in the prediction buttons. So we're going to do that. And right now we see that the longer dwell time for prediction buttons is off. So we're going to change it to on and adjust for a little bit longer dwell time. Now we go back to the keyboard, and now I've got some longer thinking time after I've typed in how. Now I can see, if I look from left to right, I can look for how much does it cost, and it's the third one. And now I can select it much more easily without any pressure. Gives me time to look around and make the correct selection. So now we're happy, we've got the right one. So we have different dwell times for buttons, keyboard, and prediction. And what does this mean for users? It means that they have control over their settings. They can go slow when they need to or faster when they need to. And they can be in an environment or when they're in an environment that they're more familiar, such as the keyboard, it enables them to communicate more quickly. And the extra dwell time for the prediction cells, both the phrase prediction and the word prediction, gives more reading time without having to slow down the typing speed. So we've got different dwell times for buttons, keyboards, and prediction. And setting different dwell times eliminates the frustration of having to do everything at the slowest required speed. It allows users to go fast where their familiarity is good, like the keyboard. It allows users to look around and to have time to make the correct selection without any pressure. It gives extra time to read the text in the prediction buttons. And all the options are completely configurable by the user so that they feel like they're in control and they feel that sense of independence. So now we're going to get into the Windows access tools. So let's do that. When we're in all page sets, and today we're focusing on the text communicator. So we're going to select the text communicator level, which is for individuals who are either fully literate and write their messages by means of an on-screen keyboard or are transitioning to learn to do that. So all keyboards are available for the user to choose based on their needs and preferences, no matter the access method, whether it's eye gaze, switch, switch scan, touch, head pointer, or some combination. So now we get into the Windows access tool. And there are 4 keyboard options here and also mouse emulation layouts based on the needs and preferences, as well as ways to access the desktop. So the keyboard choices here marked in red are or include QWERTY, which is your typical keyboard seen on a standard keyboard, alpha or ABC layout, which is the alphabetical layout, scanning, which is optimized for people using switch as their input method, and pointer, which is optimized for people using a head pointer as their input method. So the keyboards there are different layouts available for different needs and different input methods. While you're in this mode, you can also add any of these to your home page for easy access. You would just click on the top, or rather you would select the layout that is most comfortable for you, and then go to the top to add to home page, and then hit OK or the check mark, and you'd be all set, and it would be added to your home page as we saw before. So we're going to look at the majority of these tools today, with the exception of some that are just repetitive, such as the Windows keyboard on the right with the Windows icon and the keyboard. It's the white one in the brown square on the top at the end. And then the other one in the second row, the last of the brown buttons, the Windows access, those are just repetitive buttons. When these icons were initially created, there weren't as many keyboard layouts or mouse emulation options. And so those were the initial ones. And then as needs arose, we created or new layouts were created to leave no user behind and to give flexibility and options. And so new options were created, adding a new visual alongside that so that a user would know which is the option that they were selecting. And so those just are legacy icons. So we can just, we'll skip those. And then the last that we're not going to talk about today, but bears mention, is computer control. It's a new tool that we've created, and the reason that we're not going to talk about it today is because really it's its own webinar, and it's something that we're planning for you. But it is, just so you know what it is, it's a new intuitive way of interacting with your computer and controlling it via eye tracking. It's designed for individuals with physical disabilities and communication challenges who want to make full use of their computer independently. So we'll look at that another day and time, and I hope you can join us for it. But for today, we're going to do Windows Access and look at the keyboard options within Windows Access. So we'll start with the Windows keyboard grid, which looks like this. And so the keys for letters and numbers are placed on the first screen, and control keys are organized on the second screen. It's configurable to a QWERTY keyboard, ABC, scan keyboard, and also a head pointer. It has medium-sized buttons and larger target areas, and it's a keyboard that's compatible with a key guard for any users that either start out with or use touch as their input method. There are also word predictions for quicker typing and a larger message window. Right now you're looking at what was my screen and not the message window, but it just gives you an idea of the space. But when you're in the actual keyboard, it gives you the larger message window for multi-line messages and text, and all that standard editing choices are available, enabling the user to do much more. Okay, so we'll look at the next keyboard, and that is the Windows keyboard large keys. And here is what that looks like. So this is an option for those users that need extra large buttons for varying visual impairments from maybe not as up to strong visual impairments, and they may need a larger target. So these keys are grouped in a larger size grid with bigger buttons that expands to individual keys. And on the next screen, there are letters. So you would pick a grouping if you wanted the letter M, and then you would see the options from K to S, and you could choose the letter M. Or you could also choose between numbers, punctuation mark groupings, and the user navigates between them to select the desired option. So this particular keyboard has large targets, and it's for it produces a reduced visual complexity. So it's easier for the user to interact with this keyboard. And you have multi-hit letter selection for users who require those larger buttons. There's also word prediction, and it is also key guard compatible. Okay, and the next keyboard is the Windows keyboard regular. They have very strange names. I would name them differently if it were me, but it's the Windows keyboard regular. And we'll take a look at what that looks like. So it's a standard QWERTY keyboard with more functionality buttons like word prediction, speech history and stored phrases, Windows management, and other keyboard functionality, and also has different layouts. Here we see the QWERTY layout, but it also can be configured to be ABC or alphabetical layout for those users who've never worked with a QWERTY keyboard. It's only if you've ever worked with a QWERTY keyboard is it really something that you might feel is necessary, but if you prefer an ABC keyboard or want to use it for scanning or head pointer, those options are available in this regular keyboard. And it also has a smaller button size for a bit more access to the screen. Okay. So now we're going to look at the Windows keyboard small, and it looks like this. And this is a reduced sized with smaller letters and a keyboard and smaller keyboard space for those who are comfortable with smaller targets and who prefer to have more screen visible and accessible. So this is more of a, I would say it's more of a compact visual presentation, but it does have the same full functionality as the other keyboards. Are there any questions?
Yes, sorry. I will ask it as it was written, but I'm not sure about the meaning. So can you open the button of large keys? Pani Magdo, mogłaby Pani sprecyzować? I will ask Magda to precise the question, okay? Because
Okay.
it's an important question, but I would like to have fully understanding of it. Czy
Okay.
mogłaby Pani sprecyzować pytanie?
Oh, the second page of the, does she mean the second page of the keyboard?
Miała Pani na myśli drugą stronę? Klawiatur?
Let's see. Is that what we meant?
Jeden z przycisków. Yes, can we show it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, what just happened? Oh, I think it went back. Oh, okay, let me change how I share my screen because Communicator wants to stay on my main screen and not on my second screen. So let me see if I can change.
We'll just give a short introduction that what is happening, okay? Idalie będzie pokazywała na oprogramowaniu, w związku z czym musi je przełączyć, bo teraz to, co Państwo widzicie, to jest prezentacja, to są animacje i zrzuty z ekranu, dlatego nie mogliśmy od razu kliknąć. Tym z Państwa, którzy są z nami po raz pierwszy albo którzy byli na innych tematach niż Tobii Communicator 5, to zachęcam do pobrania wersji demonstracyjnej programu. I tutaj myślę, że szczególnie dla osób, które pracują z tą, wydawałoby się, że węższą grupą osób, użytkowników AAC, czyli na przykład osób, które nie posługują się symbolami, czy nie posługują się gestem, posługują się wyłącznie tekstem i mają dodatkowo zaburzenia, jeżeli chodzi o percepcję, na przykład zaburzenia widzenia, to myślę, że warto sobie pobrać i prześledzić samemu tej wersji demo pod kątem tego, jakie zmiany byłyby dla Państwa użytkowników najlepsze. Ale już Idalie jest gotowa, więc oddam jej głos. Okay.
Okay, can you see the keyboard now? The large size keyboard?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So I think you wanted to see the second menu option of the keyboard. So if you click there on the top right button, it shows you the second page. So here you have numbers. You have the option to go to the internet and use internet appropriate symbols or letters. You also have emojis, delete button, keyboard setting. And on the bottom, starting from the left, you have the stored phrases, Windows mode, and also some other functionality here. I'll just show you what that looks like. So Shift, Control, Alt, as well as the capital letters, numbers, the function keys for shortcuts. So they're grouped into different sections so that you can pick them, and then they're accessible to the user. It's a few more clicks, but this is a really good tool for someone who needs those larger keys or larger targets. Let's see what else I can show you. So we talked about choosing the letter M earlier. Oh, and here, if you can see this, this is the word prediction. And then you can close out of the keyboard here. And I'll just show you if I wanted to, oh, sorry. Type the letter M. I think it's because I'm not using eye gaze and it's set for eye gaze. So sorry about that. But if I were, if I had my eye tracker connected to my laptop right now, I would be able to select the letter M and then it would show up on the screen. Does that answer your question?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Pani Magdo? Wydaje mi się, że tak, że chodziło właśnie o to. Now I'm translating into Polish for you,
Okay.
Idalie. Just okay. So thank you. Yes, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so just bear with me while I get back into presentation mode, and sometimes this is a challenge for me. So hopefully we can get this right quickly.
Wow.
Did I do it?
Yes.
Isn't that wonderful? It's taken me some time to figure it out, but I think I've come to a good place with the office, the room that I'm using in the office that I'm in. And okay, and now, yeah, we understand each other. Okay, so excuse me, we left off on the small or the compact keyboard. So now we've taken a look at that. And again, just to summarize on this particular keyboard, it's compact. It gives you more space to see the screen. And it's for people who are more comfortable with smaller targets, and that's their preference, is to see more of the screen and have it accessible. So now we'll move along to the next set. If there aren't any questions, I guess I can take a quick pause and ask how we're looking, if we have any questions.
Macie Państwo jakieś pytania? Ja za chwileczkę wstawię w czat link do pobrania wersji demonstracyjnej komunikatora w języku polskim. There are no questions. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to look at the mouse emulation tools. So these are how the mouse cursor moves across the screen and controlled by the user's eye gaze. Windows Access and Communicator 5 mimics mouse emulation, and it allows for interaction with items on your computer, including your desktop apps and the internet and any programs. So there are 3 different layout options available for the Windows Access toolbars. Screen placement. So that just means, because I don't think it sounded right when I said it, so that just means that the toolbars, the 3 toolbars that you see, so Windows mouse floating, Windows mouse horizontal, and Windows mouse vertical. So those 3 layout options, they rest on different places in your screen depending on if that is a preference for the user. So that's the main difference between them, is where they rest on the screen. So whether the user wears glasses or has like varying visual impairments, they have control over their screen and can choose the option that works best for them, enabling them to do more. So we're going to look at these layouts now. So we'll start with Windows mouse floating. And we'll go in. And this is what it looks like on your desktop once you've called it up. So it brings you into this screen, which is your desktop. And typically you would see, you know, my desktop is very cluttered. So you would see a lot of apps that I use, like Windows, PowerPoint, Outlook, Spotify, other tools that I use, Chrome or Google, for instance. So the toolbar here shows one of the 7 areas so that the user specifies. So the user can have it where it is right now, which is the middle of the top. It can be on the top right. It can be on the bottom left, in the center. It could be on the bottom right, etc. So we talk about, or rather we can, and here just I'll talk about some of the buttons that are universal across some of these layouts, and as they come up on the screens, just so you can get a feel for them. So the move button on the screen, that enables the floating toolbar to move to the desired screen location as one of the 7 choices. And this is the second screen of the toolbar, or the mouse emulation toolbar. Just so you can see some of the options there. So you can close window, you can go into settings, scroll, you can access your programs, you can pause the eye tracker, or you can resume. You know, if you want to take a break and you're tired, you can pause it. So again, it gives the user flexibility and the ability to control their environment. Okay, so now we'll move into Windows mouse horizontal and what that looks like on the screen. So it's down at the bottom currently, and that's the default. So the toolbar shows on the bottom, which is the default, and you can also choose to move it to the top of the screen if you prefer. And here you can see the programs button, so you can, it displays the icon of the programs that are configured in the program shortcut settings. That's a mouthful. So, you know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Google Chrome, maybe Netflix. So it's easy access for frequently used programs. And the keyboard also, you can also call up the keyboard if you would like in this option as well. So this is the second page of the menu for the horizontal layout. So you can see here, you can do left click, right click, double click. You can move the bar up. You can also go into settings. You can close the window. You can exit. You can close an active window. You can, so if you're in Word, it would close Word if that's what you wanted to do when you select close window. And if you wanted to close out of the keyboard, then you would, or the layout rather, you would exit on the right. So now we'll look at Windows mouse vertical, the next layout. And this toolbar shows on the left as default or on the right of the screen if you prefer. And the menu has 3 menu options. So this, what we're looking at now is the first of the 3. And let's see, we can access the keyboard again. All of the same functionality that's available. It's just a preference of how maybe you have a visual impairment and the right side of the screen isn't, or the left side of the screen conversely isn't where that's your strength. So you can put it on the side of the screen that is better for your particular needs, or if it's the top or the bottom or the floating toolbar that we talked about. So you have a lot of options. So let's take a look at the second page of the vertical, of the mouse vertical. So you can see here, again, you can pause or resume your eye tracker. You can also dock your window, and that just is, it adjusts the active application window to the edge of the Windows Access toolbar for a better view of the windows. And that's also a mouthful. What it means is that if I have Word open, it just adjusts the size of Word on the screen so that it doesn't cover the mouse emulation layout, so that you can see both of them side by side. I hope that was clear. Okay, and this is the third page. So again, settings, access to programs, or back.
Czy do tego momentu jest dla Państwa wszystko jasne? Tam jest bardzo dużo tych opcji. Warto sobie przeklikać, ale one też są intuicyjne, jeżeli pracuje się na Windowsie. Jeżeli macie Państwo jakiekolwiek pytania, proszę śmiało zadawać je w czacie. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so now we will move on to the next tool here. And this one is called Go to Desktop with Keyboard, and I will show you what that looks like. So when you click on that or you select that, it takes you to your Windows desktop, and you have access to Windows Control if that is your tool. If you are using, if that's your tool, and to access the desktop and also the keyboard. And then, so when you select the keyboard, it calls it up, and that is what the keyboard would look like unless you've configured it to be a different keyboard, which again, you have the flexibility to do. Let's see. So now we're going to go and look at the other one, the other button, which is Go to Desktop. And if I select that, it will take me here, and it enables the user to easily access the desktop to perform any of the tasks where they might want to interact with the apps or programs on the computer using Windows Control software, or go back to Communicator 5 and giving them, again, more options and flexibility to be independent and do more on their own. So just to summarize, the Windows Access keyboards and mouse emulation for access and efficiency. Different keyboard designs can improve input efficiency. Large buttons, larger screen access, two-hit keyboard. It's your choice. You're in charge. as a user. Word prediction for speed and accuracy. It's really time saving. And there are different key layouts to match access, and it has a huge impact on efficiency and speed, and it's for all different input methods, whether you're a switch user, you switch scan, pointer, eye gaze, touch, or and you want, and for touch, if you wanted to use a key guard, you also have some that are compatible with the different keyboards as well. So once you change the keyboard, once you've configured it to the preference of your choice, it's changed everywhere. So it could be also a color change. It could be where it is on the screen. It's changed everywhere. So different mouse emulation options to make easier desktop access and program interactions. So really we empower the user to do more, to be in charge, whether it's communicating audibly, so using their communication system to speak, working with productivity tools, as I like to call them, the Microsoft suite, whether it's accessing entertainment apps or the internet, they're able to take control, be independent, and do more. So we like to talk about this as our say it quicker, but it's so much more than that. So you can say it quicker with tools for fast, efficient communication, but you can also say it quicker, and also you can do more, you can take control, you make it you. So the device is personalized, and it's sort of almost an extension of who you are in the way that a device can be. It supports progression. So if you start out with touch, you can move to eye, and you need to move to eye gaze. It's a great way to start. You can also do things like I said before, or how I mentioned before, message banking, which we'll talk about next week. So join us for that session. But ultimately you're in charge, and you experience ultimately the independence to do the things. I'm going to just jump ahead because now I'm jumping ahead anyway, so I'll just get there. Oops, sorry. So ultimately this is our mission. It's to enable people to do the things that they once did or that they never thought possible. So we give them the tools that empower them to do these things. And Communicator 5 is that tool for efficient communication. It allows them to be faster and exercise minimal effort. It allows the users to do what they did before or what others can do. It's so much more than voice output communication. It's everything else. It's entertainment, it's distance communication, social media, environmental control, and it's also a solution for the journey. It's personal. It's an AAC system that feels like it's your own, or a reflection of who you are, gives you back your the ability to express yourself and feel like an individual. It's easy to use, it's easy to set up, and all the key settings are in the user's hands so that they are independent. So that was the first part of what I wanted to show you this morning. And I think I became a little bit overambitious because I wanted to show you some practical tools in Communicator 5, and now I'm over time. So if you can't stay, again, this is being recorded so you can watch it later, but for those of you who can stay, feel free to join me. I'm going to talk now. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into some favorite features like mouseless browsing, presentation mode, email, working with attachments. We're going to take a brief look at Page Set Central, and some extremely brief editing on the Windows keyboards. So mouseless browsing has become one of my new favorite things because I think I rediscovered it, and it's the first tool that we're going to have a look at in this part of the presentation. It's a tool within Firefox that Tobii Dynavox maintains, and it's an add-on that you can download. And so how it works is that it will display a number next to every link on the page like this. So if you want to select a link, we're going to show you how you access it next. So remember that we added Firefox to the home page earlier. So it's right here on the bottom. So we're going to start there, and we're going to load up a navigation toolbar at the bottom of the screen. And I can call up Firefox and it will automatically be docked. Here we go. It will automatically be docked into your taskbar, but if it's not there, you can always add it very easily within the menu there in the toolbar. And if we go to the second page of commands there, we can enter some text. Click on enter some text, and then it will call up the keyboard and we can type in sport. Then confirm on the bottom right, and it will appear in my search bar. Then we can press enter on the bottom right, and you'll see all links with the numbers next to them. And we're gonna check out football, which is football, or the home BBC sport. We're gonna go and search football there. So that's number 57. And so now we're gonna click follow links. And then we're gonna type out 57, so 5, and then 7, and follow link to get to that football page on BBC Sport. So here we are. And now we want to select the article number 94. That's the one I want to read. So we're going to follow link again. And now we can see in the toolbar below that we have options to navigate the page. So we can go up or down slowly, or we can go to the top of the page or the bottom of the page. And there are so many more things that we can do as well. But this is how you use mouseless browsing in Firefox. So mouseless browsing in Firefox supports users who prefer to work within the familiar environment of Communicator 5. It's ideal for users who struggle with small targets in Windows control or computer control. It only takes up a small part of the screen, and it's quick access to any link on the page. You have buttons for other functions as well, like scrolling, working with tabs and bookmarks, typing text into search fields, entering web addresses, and it works with the user's preferred keyboard in full screen. The toolbar can be edited to add the user's favorite functions. So it's a really nice tool that I thought you might want to know about if you don't already know about it. Okay, so next we are going to talk about, here we go. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some other tools that empower our users to do more. This is actually one of my favorites because it's a little bit newer to me. I didn't know about this until recently. So it's often an overlooked feature in Communicator 5, but it's a really important tool for school work, speaking at a conference, speaking at a wedding. A user can prepare in advance and typically would press play when they're going to do a presentation, and then it would start and go. And it didn't really allow for like natural pauses when you're talking, or for those natural moments, maybe like if you're giving a speech and you want to pause for people to applaud, or if you make a joke, it's hard to get the timing right with laughter after that joke, right? Because you made a joke and you want people to laugh, or you expect that they would. So presentation mode in Communicator 5 can help with that. So let's take a look and see. So you start on the home page and it's highlighted in red, and maybe it's a little hard to tell. So you go to My Text Files. It's just underneath the Edit Homepage button. It's the second row and the first red button that's highlighted with a red marker around it. So then you would select My Text Files, And then you would see the list of presentations that you have prepared on the left and select the one that you want. And then you would press on the double arrows marked in red to expand that presentation that you've selected. And then at the bottom, you see presentation mode. And here are some of the tools that you can see that you can use during presentation mode. You can speak the presentation. You have the tools here to place the cursor either sentence by sentence or paragraph by paragraph, anywhere you want in your text document. At the bottom, you have the tools to control where you speak from with the cursor point. And again, you can move that sentence by sentence or paragraph by paragraph. You can also repeat something by selecting previous paragraph or sentence and have it read out. And the user has all the possibilities in presenting in a way that's natural and in the way that they want, giving them control over the presentation. So they can do so much more. So that's one of my favorite tools, and we'll just summarize with presentation mode works with any text files that the user has saved. It gives the user control over the pace of their delivery. They can start from any point in the text. They can repeat any sections. They can skip sentences or paragraphs. It's great for work, school, college, university, conferences, events, weddings. You know, at weddings, you might want to share some pictures and tell a story. And it's, again, you can use presentation mode to do that. It's much easier to work with text files on a user's device, and there's a new path for those text files, so they're easier to access. So recently in 5.4, we created this new path, which is documents / communicator 5, your profile name / my text files. So if a user receives a presentation in a .text file format on a memory stick or via email, they can save it into their folder and they'll have it available in my text files for use in presentation mode, as we saw earlier. So if you're using this, something good to note is a woman recently came to Tobii. She's a user who lives in France and she has CP. And she speaks at many conferences. So she came over to present for Tobii Dynavox, and she had added line breaks to her presentation in order to be able to follow the presentation easily. And Communicator 5 treats line breaks as a new paragraph, even if there's no like separation. So it's just good to note that, because if it's not responding how you expect, if you've adjusted yourself for something without having specifically used the tools, it might not respond the way that you're expecting to. So it's good to try it out first, just to make sure you get the pacing correct and that you've done it correctly to be able to deliver the type of presentation that you would like. So just a quick note that's worth mentioning. So now we're going to talk about email and working with attachments in Communicator 5. But first, I can just quickly ask if anyone has any questions. Maybe Kasia would like to summarize.
Czy macie Państwo jakieś pytania do tego trybu? On jest, ten tryb prezentacji całkiem pięknie się sprawdza, więc, ale tak jak Idalie na końcu powiedziała, warto sobie przećwiczyć, zresztą tak jak przed każdą prezentacją stosowanie, ponieważ stosowanie na przykład podkreślników, czy jeżeli w tekście pojawiają się znaki, które dla komputera są nieczytelne, one też będą w jakiś inny sposób przetwarzane, głównie przez syntezator mowy. To idziemy do poczty elektronicznej i załączników.
All set?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we can talk about email and working with attachments in Communicator 5. So a user can use their desktop controls like computer control or Windows control or Tegus to go to the desktop to access Outlook or their preferred web-based email. But there are many users who prefer to work within the Communicator 5 environment because it feels safe and they feel supported with either, maybe the bigger buttons, for instance. So this is one of those areas where Communicator 5 does a really nice job. So let's take a look. So we go into email from the home page because we saved it there. And there are, so now we're going to go in and there are a few emails that we can see on the left, and one has an attachment. So we can view an individual email by selecting the double arrows to expand it on the right. And then we can view the email itself in an expanded mode. And we can choose on the right we can choose to save it or to open it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna save it. So this is where you would save or open in case you didn't see that. So we're gonna save it. So the key thing is that we have a fully accessible Windows file browser. So you can navigate. So we're gonna save it, right? So we can navigate to anywhere on the computer or the hard drive to save the file, whatever your access method is. Again, switch, scan, touch, eye gaze, head pointer. You can use any of those to access this. So we're going to select documents to save it. And here I could compose an email. I can reply to an email. So we're going to choose the recipient as well. And you can give it a title. You can edit the body. You can also add an attachment on the bottom right, just above the arrows, the navigation arrows. It's important to note that in C5, unlike other software, you can open, view, and send any type of attachment, not just pictures. So we're gonna add an attachment and we're gonna choose, so we're gonna add one and we're gonna choose one. And then we're gonna add it. And then we're gonna have full access to the file browser. And so we can see that we can choose any file that we want to attach. Then we're done. And the attachment is now attached to the email. We can send it once we're done composing. So emailing within Communicator 5, you have access to your emails within C5, again, which is a safe and supported environment for users who prefer to be within the Communicator 5 environment. And you can view all attachment types. You can save your attachments anywhere on your PC with a fully accessible Windows file browser. And you can send emails with any type of attachment and access files from anywhere on your PC or your hard drive. So again, when you're looking at the types of software, the AAC software or communication system that your users or your students or your family member or whoever it is, if it's your patient, your customer, can their AAC software do this or do any of this? So these are some really great tools in Communicator 5 that give flexibility to the user as well as independence. So now we're going to take a quick look at PageSet Central. And PageSet Central is a community sharing account on tobiidynavox.com. And here people can create, or not create, but rather they create their page sets in their software in Communicator 5, but here they can upload their page sets. They can share them in their My Tobii Dynavox accounts, but on PageSet Central, they can also upload page sets that other people have created or their own that they want to share. So this is content that is not curated by Tobii Dynavox. It's curated or created and shared by users But there is also content that Tobii Dynavox has created and shared on PageSet Central. So let's get in and just take a quick look. So you would, if you wanted to search PageSet Central, you go into mytobiidynavox.com, and then you would select PageSet Central the PageSet Central tab. And you can search for a particular activity or an item of interest like Kindle. So here you can also filter by the type of software, by language, by category of activity. So it's a really great tool to give you some inspiration and ideas. It's always easier to edit than it is to start from scratch. There's a lot of great resources, even in Polish, that you'll see on PageSet Central. And you can search in English because there's a lot of great content in English as well. And then you can easily adapt it to make it your own, and then just edit it and change it into Polish. Okay, so now we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna search for Kindle, and we do that here in the search bar. And then you would add it to my stuff or download it. We're gonna download it, and once downloaded, you'll want to save it. So you go to Edit Homepage, and you add a page set, and any page that you've created will appear in the My Page Sets button. So now we're going to select it, and there it is. So we'll see, now we see Kindle. So now it's accessible from the home page, enabling the user to do more and to do more quickly. So let's take a look. Now, there it is. So we're going to go into Kindle and open it, and we can see our library of books on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side we have the menu that helps us navigate to select a book, to navigate the book, and interact with it and read it using the tools there that you see there. Okay, so we're gonna read it in this case. So Kindle is not the only, there are a plethora of tools and ideas that have been created. So I really encourage you to spend some time on PageSet Central. And if there are activities that you're interested in, like you want a mathematics activity, you can search that, or books for kids, or entertainment tools like, well, we just saw Spotify. So there's content available in all different categories on PageSet Central. So really spend some time there and see what will work for you. And also there are educational resources there. So it's available to everyone, even if you don't have a Tobii Dynavox account. There are over 3,000 resources available in 19 languages, and for symbol users and for text users. There are page sets for common tools and apps like Kindle, Zoom, Alexa, Google Home, WhatsApp, Sonos. It's a community curated content. It's not ours, but again, we do have some of our own content there, and there's some really great stuff, but we can't be responsible for maintaining other people's page sets or checking for quality. So just keep that in mind, but there is a lot of great resources out there. And it's great for inspiration and for time-saving development. It's a lot easier to download it and tweak it than it is to start from scratch. So that's PageSet Central. And we are gonna just talk very briefly about basic editing. So this is the last part of the webinar, just in closing out on some of the tools that we've used. And this is just like a really quick overview. So in basic editing, it's little or no editing required for the text user. So we're gonna look. So the Firefox browser, for instance, maybe the targets are too small for the user, and all of the keyboard page sets, they can be edited. So you go into, edit mode in the page set, and under the file, you find the page set properties and you can make changes in the pop-up window to adjust the percent. Then you would just run the view and see the bigger targets on the page set. I think I may have gone too fast. You access edit mode through the quick menu. You can also do it by pressing the shortcut F5, Shift F5. There, edit page set. Okay, so now you've seen how to do that. And to summarize, do more. So we've looked at mouseless browsing, presentation mode, email, including working with attachments, page set central, and basic editing. So Communicator 5 really provides you that range of tools that are very innovative and enable the most efficient type of communication, both in terms of speed and reduced effort. We've looked at that today, and a bunch of these tools, as well as the Windows Access tools. And this really does give users the independence that they're seeking to be able to do what they once did, or to what they never thought possible. So, any questions?
Dobrze, proszę Państwa, dużo dzisiaj przerobiliśmy. Czy macie Państwo do tego jakieś pytania? No, I can't see any questions.
Okay, so if it's okay with everyone, can we take a quick Menti?
Jeżeli to dla Państwa jest ok, to szybkie Menti na koniec. Let's do that. Tak więc wchodzimy na menti.com i tym razem wpisujemy 92 95 35.
So I'll just leave it up for a quick minute and then we can take a look. So again, you can access this from your phone or your web browser and just enter the code that you see.
92 95 30. I możecie Państwo napisać parę słów o tym, jak się podobało dzisiejsze spotkanie.
Can you see that?
No, it's presentation mode.
Oh, right, I have to switch the screen, sorry. Let's see. No, okay. That's not the right one, just bear with me. I can see it. Which one can you see?
The right one. So
okay, okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if you could please share a little bit of feedback about today's webinar, what you thought. This really helps us in knowing that the topics are interesting and that they were helpful. So we hope that you did find this webinar and presentation useful. So feel free to share. Super interesting to see what everyone has to say.
There is one thing in Polish which says that we've opened the doors. Yes, door.
Oh, that's great. So one of the fun things about this word cloud is that the words that are, or the most frequently used words are larger sized. So we can see how much people felt, which words were the most common between everyone, or which feelings were. Cool. I'm really happy to hear or to see that everyone felt that this was very informative, full of new information. That's what we want. We want you to walk away feeling like you learned something that was valuable and useful. So I'm happy to hear that, to see that. Okay, so thank you so much for giving your input, and just bear with me while I switch back.
Dziękujemy bardzo za Państwa
Screen 2.
zaangażowanie.
And I just need to get there. Okay, so we have one more webinar on Communicator 5 in our series of ALS awareness, or in recognition of ALS awareness or the literate user. And that one is next week on the 27th. And this topic will be about message banking and using the partner window. So please do feel free to join us. And then on June 1st, we're going to have, and I think it might actually run a bit longer than an hour, but we're going to have a session on gaming for Children's Day. So we hope that if you can't join us for both, but we do hope that you join us for both, you can make it to at least one of them. So I'll just leave that up for a second so that you can note it, but certainly keep your eyes on Kasia and Atabi's Facebook pages, because I think she'll post it there if she hasn't already, so that you can sign up and get the access information for those webinars.
Jeżeli chodzi o nasze już tradycyjne przerwy kawowe z Tobii Dynavox i z Idali, to w maju, miesiącu szerzenia wiedzy o stwardnieniu zainkowym bocznym, mamy jeszcze tutaj spotkanie za tydzień, 27 maja od 10 do 11. Będzie ono dotyczyło banku komunikatów i takiego wynalazku jak partner window w urządzeniach, natomiast ten bank komunikatów szczególnie będzie naszym fokusem. Zapraszamy serdecznie. Jak zawsze na stronie facebookowej Atabi jest link bezpośrednio do webinarium. No i w Dzień Dziecka mamy gry i zabawy dla dzieci. Myślę, że ono nam się przedłuży. Tutaj mamy wpisaną godzinę, ale mamy też bardzo dużo chętnych, więc myślę, że będzie ciekawie. Ja ze swojej strony zaczynam zachęcać osoby, które będą chciały do nas dołączyć, do przebrania się. Ja cały czas szukam odpowiedniego na ten cel stroju. Jutro o 11 zapraszam na webinar z Robertem Kosem z Rehadapt. Też bezpośrednio link do tego spotkania u nas na stronie. Ja go jeszcze będę potwierdzała, to znaczy wysyłała, ale będzie dotyczył mocowań urządzeń do wspomagania komunikacji. Bardzo ważna sprawa. Thank you. It took me quite a long time. Other thoughts.
Perfect. Well, that's always a good thing. So I guess then we'll end with thank you. So, you know, a huge thank you to everyone here today and who has tuned into some or all of the Communicator 5 Say It Quicker, Do More webinars. And also a huge thank you to Kasia and Atabi for organizing this webinar today and making this possible so that we could be here in this virtual space sharing information with you. The idea, as I had mentioned, was to recognize ALS Awareness Month and highlight what we can do for all our literate users or our text-based users. And we have other ideas and news brewing that we'll share with you soon. So keep your eyes tuned into Facebook for more information. And in the meantime, if you haven't friended me on Facebook, feel free to do so. I don't check it super often, but I do at least a couple of times a week. And you would just find me under Idalie Tobii Dynavox. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Kasia, tremendously. Everyone, please stay safe and healthy, and hope to see you again next week. And if you want to know more, if you want to know more about Communicator 5, please do get in touch with Kasia. She is your local contact and, like I said, a wealth of information.
Thank you, Idalie, for preparing all this. It was super informative. And We've learned a lot, so thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. And we are seeing next week.
Perfect.
Ja Państwu dziękuję za obecność dzisiaj. Widzimy się z Idali za tydzień, a ze mną jutro, mam nadzieję, z większością z Państwa. Thank you. Dziękujemy bardzo i zapraszamy do kontaktu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.